The super awesome show for kids at home. It's good for kids and even if you're grown. We do art and music and even read the Bible, share our talents, do magic, and try hard to be nicer. So if you're bored and at home, watch a super awesome show for kids at home. Good morning, boys and girls, moms and dads, and everybody else watching at home. Welcome to the super awesome show for kids at home. I am so glad you tuned into this week's episode because today we are talking about strength and stones. You know, before we get going, I want to remind everybody to get outside and exercise or at least take a walk for at least 30 minutes a day. Breathing some fresh air and getting moving can help us feel a lot better, especially when we're cooped up inside all day. So get outside, take a break, play a game, and have some fun. I know it can be hard that we can't play with our friends the way we normally would right now, but I believe that we can make it through anything if we just follow what Jesus taught me in Matthew chapter 22 when he said to love God more than anything else in the world and to show that love to our friends and to our neighbors. You know, we have had some super awesome weeks on the Super Awesome Show lately. We made a magic art craft that changed color. We even made crowns, and we learned how to make a sandwich last week. This week, we're going to be learning a story about somebody who wasn't the biggest or the strongest, but they still learned that you can be strong in faith. Plus, there was a lot of awesome, epic characters and even a giant. We've got a great show lined up for you today. We'll have mail time. We're going to do a craft that's actually a new fun game to learn. And finally, we're going to finish it off with a Bible story. But first, let's sing our opening song. Good morning, Lord. It's a beautiful day. Good morning, Lord. I'm going your way. Open my eyes and help me see someone who needs a friend like me. I know that I can surely be loving, caring, always sharing. Good morning, Lord. It's a beautiful day. Good morning, Lord. I'm going your way. Awesome job, boys and girls. Now let's head on over and have mail time. It's about that time to check the mail. I haven't even checked today. We might have a letter, so what do you say? Let's check the mail today. If you'd like a chance for your letter to be read on the show, you can mail them to the Super Awesome Show for Kids at Home at 5350 Providence Road, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 23464, and you might just see your letter read on our show. We didn't get any mail this week, but I'd like to take the chance to remind everybody that now you can send your mail to superawesomeshowmail@gmail.com. That's right, you can send us an email or a real letter now, and you might just see your letter read on our show. You can write us about anything you'd like. You can write us about any of these things. That's a lot of things to write us about. I'm sure you won't have any trouble thinking of something to write, and I'm so looking forward to reading your letters next week on the show. Now let's head on over to craft time because I'm excited about the new game that we're going to learn about today. Let's head on over. Welcome to craft time on the Super Awesome Show for Kids at Home. Today we're going to be creating a game called Goliath Rocks. I'll be including all of the instructions on how to play. But to create the game, you're going to need acrylic paint. I'm using Super Awesome Show colors of yellow and blue, a paintbrush, 6 small stones, preferably as round as possible. To play the game, you'll need a roll of masking or painter's tape. And finally, it's optional to include some sort of spray-on protective varnish to finish the stones. So to get started, we're going to take our stones and we're going to paint the stones different colors. You could paint these stones any colors that you like. It doesn't matter if each stone is a different color because you always have the chance to redecorate them in a different way after you're done. Acrylic paint only takes about 15 minutes to dry if you're not coating it really heavily, so it gives you the option to paint one rock, come back 15 minutes later, do a second coat, or draw something on the top with a Sharpie. I'm going to paint my rocks right now. Now that you've colored all of your rocks, you can take a permanent marker and you're going to write each of the letters of David's name on the rocks. But on the biggest rock, you're going to write a G. So a G on the biggest rock and a D-A-V-I-D on the other 5 rocks. Let's go ahead and do that before we go any further. So this is my biggest rock. I'm going to put a big G on that one. And then on my other rocks, I'm just going to write the letters of David's name. So I'll put a D on this rock, kind of here on the side. I'll put an A on this rock, right there on the middle. I will put a V right on the top of this big flat rock. I will put an I right there on the top of this flat, round blue rock, and a D on this other blue rock right there. And now, for the optional protective coating. Don't try this at home, kids. Oh, wait, you are at home. Boys and girls, you may be wondering, why did we use 6 rocks and not 5? What is this extra rock with a G on it? Well, we have 2 characters in our story today, David and Goliath. And this story is all about strength and stones. I'm going to read you this story and put some pictures up so you can kind of visualize what's happening as we talk about strength and stones. It says that the Philistines gathered their forces for war and assembled in Judah. They pitched camp, and Saul and the Israelites assembled and camped in the valley of Elah and drew up their battle line to meet the Philistines. The Philistines occupied one hill, and the Israelites were on the other, with a big valley between them. A champion named Goliath came out of the Philistine camp. He was over 9 feet tall and wore armor that weighed almost 80 pounds. His spear shaft was like a weaver's rod, and the tip of his spear weighed over 15 pounds. His shield bearer went ahead of him. Goliath stood and shouted to everybody in the Israel army, "Why do you come out and line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine? Are you not Israelites? Choose a man and have him come down to me. If he is able to fight and kill me, we will become your subjects. But if I overcome him, you will become our subjects and servants." He double-dog dared him. Now David was the son of an Ephrathite named Jesse, who was from Bethlehem in Judah. Jesse had 8 sons, and in Saul's time he was very old. Jesse's 3 oldest sons went to war for Saul. David was the youngest, and he stayed home to tend his father's sheep. For 40 days, Goliath came forward every morning and evening and took his stand. David's dad wanted him to bring his brothers some food at battle. So early in the morning, David left his flocks, loaded up, and went to battle, as Jesse had directed. He reached the camp as the army was going out to its battle positions. Israel and the Philistines were drawing up their lines facing each other. David left his things, ran out to battle, and asked his brothers how they were doing. As he was talking with them, Goliath stepped out from his lines and shouted his usual cries. David heard it and asked the men standing near him, "Who is this Philistine that he should defy the armies of God?" David said to King Saul, "Let no one lose heart on account of this man. Your servant will go and fight him." Saul replied, "You are not able to go out against this Philistine and fight him. You are only a young man. You're not strong, and he has been a warrior from the time he was a boy." David told Saul that he was only a shepherd, but he had fought off wild animals that were coming to attack his sheep. David said, "The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine." So Saul wanted David to at least wear some armor, but David said it was too heavy and he didn't need it. Then he took his staff in hand, chose 5 smooth stones from the stream, put them in the pouch of his shepherd's bag, and with his sling in hand approached Goliath. David said to Goliath, "You come at me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I'll strike you down, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. All those gathered here will know that it is not by the sword that the Lord saves, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands." Then reaching into his bag, David took out a stone. He slung it and struck Goliath right on the forehead. The stone sank into his forehead, and he fell face down on the ground. David defeated Goliath without a sword in his hand. He knew he wasn't the biggest or the strongest, but he was strong in faith. He trusted and believed that God would be with him. Boys and girls, you may not be fighting a giant named Goliath, but all of us have felt weak at one point. It may be because somebody else is actually stronger or bigger than you, or because you have a problem that you have not been able to overcome. But David reminds us that it's better to be strong in faith, because God is always with us. It's his battle to fight, and he doesn't do it with the sword. We do it through prayer and faith in him. So next time that you're feeling sad or weak or defeated, remember that it's better to be strong in faith, and that God fights the battle for us. And that, boys and girls, is super awesome. Let's pray and thank God for that. Mighty God, you fight for us. Help us to be strong in faith and trust that you will fight the battle for us because you love us. In your name, amen. Boys and girls, thank you so much for joining us this week. Remember that it's better to be strong in faith because God is fighting for you. And we'll see you next week. Bye.